is because if the 10-year has topped and if interest rates start pulling back, then risk on becomes
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have Gareth Soloway as he tells us his prediction on the second largest cryptocurrency, Ethereum, and what it needs for a sustained rebound. After a 2-week squeeze at 1,700, Ethereum has entered a high volatility phase during the previous 9 days. The continuing pullbacks have significantly reduced purchasing power in the present market structure. The ramifications of recent macroeconomic losses have increased the market's already existing anxiety feeling. The drop below 1,093 has pushed ETH to its January 2021 lows. However, the price of Ethereum may be seeking some recovery as investors and traders react to the new background of global market inflation worries. With this, Gareth Soloway predicts that there could be a rebound for Ethereum soon. Don't forget to comment down below what you think. Hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content we do here on this channel. With no further ado, let's get right through Gareth Soloway's prediction on Ethereum's price bounce back.
There's definitely signs that I do think people should expect a bounce soon. And if you guys would just indulge me, I would love to just share those with you because it's a little bit of a different kind of deal. So this is the Ethereum chart. This is your next big support on this, right down here at this 820, we'll call it 825 or so. So that's your new next little pivot. But, you know, when you're investing, one of the things that I learned about the stock market is that it's about deciding where your money is better, right? So when interest rates go up, there's a certain amount of people that say, well, now I can get 3% on the 10-year. Why am I taking risk in the market? And they rotate out of risk assets into the 10-year yield. So the 10-year yield, especially in the stock world, is like hugely, hugely important. In fact, the bond market is actually many times the size of the stock market. It is the biggest market out there. So they always say the bond guys know more than anyone out there. So one thing I've been noticing here, and again, it's not a fully closed candle, but if we go to the 10-year, and the reason, by the way, just to reiterate why I'm showing the 10-year is because if the 10-year has topped and if interest rates start pulling back, then risk on becomes...
The price of Ethereum fell below the key 1,000 barrier over the weekend as bears continue to dominate price movement. However, the market took a turn on Sunday, June 19th, when the whole crypto ecosystem was able to rebound and multiple coins regained critical levels, with Bitcoin leading the way back above 20,000. And also the price of ETH has even recovered above 1,100.
Number one, we're going to pierce 20 just because everyone has stop orders just below 20 and the markets love to run stop orders, right? So what I'm actually, and this is kind of going in a shorter term basis, is what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to get down to like 19.5, maybe 19-ish, and then we're going to have a snapback bounce. And again, this is that high from 2017 that was like around 19.5 or whatever it was. But I think you have to pierce that, stop out a bunch of individuals, flush them out. You guys were talking already about high volume. That's exactly what high volume does. It flushes out the weak hands. Then you get the reflex bounce to lure them back in at higher prices. Everyone will start saying, oh, the bottom's in. We just hit that high pivot. We're getting a bounce now. And then I do think it's going lower. A couple signals that tell me that, you know, you got the measured move, the classic measured move here. This high down to this low. You take that same distance and it takes you down to 12,000. That's also this pivot point right here. And 12,000 is approximately 80 to 85% correction off 69,000.
Bitcoin has dropped through several well-watched price milestones to its lowest level since late 2020, as evidence of rising stress within the crypto markets mounts against a background of monetary tightening. Ether plunged as much as 19% to 881, its lowest level since January of last year, 2021, before rising 11% to 1,005 on Sunday morning in Singapore. Ethereum and Bitcoin values are both down more than 70% from all-time highs recorded in early November. Let's hear what Gareth Soloway has to say about this.
Upper. And by the way, the dollar, this is the dollar chart. The dollar has been ripping up all year long, really, actually since 2021, which has been putting extra pressure on crypto and on other assets that are traded in dollars. But the idea here is if you go back to 2015, you're definitely at the high end of this channel. And it makes me think that, okay, now the dollar could weaken, let's say for the next couple months, maybe Bitcoin can rally, you know, just back at least to 30,000. And the cool thing about that is if you go to 19 or 20, 30 is 50% return, right? So I mean, again, it's all relative to where you're in, obviously, but just a couple notes on just a couple interesting little things there. I think that investors should kind of keep in mind is that there's other things to look at besides just the chart of Bitcoin or just the chart of Ethereum that will actually have an impact and sway your decision making.
After the COVID-19 outcry, the USD's purchasing power versus BTC declined even more, with a substantial loss in March 2020, followed by another drop at the end of 2020. Furthermore, the USD's value has fallen further as a result of the government's continual money printing. Inflation has already eroded the value of the USD by 85% over the previous 50 years, bolstering BTC's narrative as a great alternative to fiat money. However, after reaching an all-time high of 69,000 in November 2021, Bitcoin's price began to fall. Around the same period, USD purchasing power versus BTC began to grow, peaking in November end 2021 and then falling again in March 2022.
So there's like lots of things that, and I guess I should throw this out too, is that for me, I look at the stock market and I recognize the coordination where selling in the NASDAQ specifically begets selling in cryptocurrency. We've seen that, right? So I look at the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ's not even back to pre-COVID highs yet. We're probably going into a recession, which means there's going to be more downside in the NASDAQ. So it's hard to imagine that crypto would bottom here if the NASDAQ's going to fall another 10, 15, 20% to me. So
significantly, the USD's purchasing power against BTC has been rising for most of the year. The same is true for Bitcoin's inflation hedging narrative. Furthermore, the ongoing difficulties around market volatility and the high price of a single BTC unit cause friction for investors, particularly novices. You may be wondering how low Bitcoin and Ethereum can go, and if you need to buy the dip, as the two most prominent cryptocurrencies on the market continue to fall. It's certainly impossible to say, but Gareth Soloway seems to have a sense of where Bitcoin and Ethereum will bottom out based on technical charts and historical data. After falling more than 30% in the previous week, investors are asking where the bottom is for Ethereum, Bitcoin, and other digital assets. Gareth Soloway says it takes about 12 months, that is 6 months from now, for Ethereum to reach the bottom. Here is his analysis.
Yeah, so I think, just looking at the cycles from past ones, usually it takes about 12 months for Bitcoin to bottom. So you're looking at November-ish, December if it's replicating past cycles. Then usually it chops around for 6 months plus and before it actually starts to have that next run. Now that's all assuming that everything is the same as last cycles, even though we know it's not, with the Federal Reserve doing what it's doing. In terms of the stock market, right? So looking at the stock market, you have to say to yourself, like, where is this ultimately going? Yes, I do think a depression-ish, massive recession is in the cards. But the one thing I've learned is that it always takes longer because the government and the Fed are always there to try to help until they can't anymore. So what I mean by that is that what's going to probably end up happening is later this year, the economy will start slipping towards recession. Already you're seeing prices starting to peak out. Oil is starting to top out. I think oil, because you're going to have a recession, people are going to drive less, travel less. That's going to bring oil back in dramatically. That's going to help lower inflation. So my guess is that, yes, we have a depression in the cards. They say every generation has to experience one. Well, the last people that experienced the 2930s, unfortunately, there's not a lot of them left anymore. So I do think that's coming, but my guess is it comes around the 100-year cycle, just like COVID with the Spanish flu.
The question on many people's minds is how soon would we expect a bounce back from Ethereum and other POW currencies? Comment down below what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.